This week we're talking about what is actually cross-picking. You maybe have heard of this technique in some context and also at another place, and it might be a little bit confusing. So today we're going to demystify the technique of cross-picking, and we got a very good person to help us out with this, Mr. Hayes Griffin. So here is this week's episode.
Hey there, music makers. I'm Hayes Griffin.
I'm Magnus and Hayes.
And welcome to Mandolin Secrets Live, a show where we take a deeper look at what's happening in the world of mandolin secrets. Each episode, we're tackling our question of the week, unpacking the latest mandolin secrets lessons, and answering your questions about mandolin, guitar, and all things music. In this week's episode, we're going to be discussing kind of all things cross-picking. As you heard there at the beginning, our friend Magnus was doing some lovely cross-picking on the mandolin. We're also going to be talking about our question of the week. What are the most essential components of your practice space? And what are your favorite maintenance products for your instrument? We're also going to be checking out a little arrangement, cross-picking arrangement of Angeline The Baker. But before we dive into any of that stuff, be sure to head to mandolinsecrets.com/live to sign up for reminders about our upcoming streams. And if you can't tune in live, never fear. Just search Mandolin Secrets Live on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe to get updates when we release a new episode.
Yes, and we're gonna answer this question. What is actually cross-picking? Something you might have heard of before, and here we have some time to kind of go straight into that. But also, before going into that juicy stuff, I want to have a little shout out to one of our listeners. This is a comment coming from Bronx Trish. Funny name, but you behind that user know who you are. And Bronx Trish, he says like this: Mandolin Secrets is amazing. I love the way it's organized and presented. So thrilled to have found this. Mange tack, he says. So thank you so much for leaving a comment like that. It means a lot for me and Hayes, just knowing that there are people out there picking up this message that we want to share with the world.
Absolutely.
I was also... One funny thing, because doing what we are doing, me and Hayes, hosting a podcast like this, it's funny the way it's received, and we get some data also coming our way from where listeners actually are following this. And can anyone out there guess where we have a big following for this podcast? Me and Hayes were very, very surprised. Do you remember what you know what I'm going to tell now, Hayes?
I know exactly. Yeah, I'm so excited. Lay it on him.
It's Guatemala City. Right there's people enjoying mandolin and guitar. Not only the music, but also hearing two guys chatting about it. I think it's wonderful. I guess Bronx Trish is not in Guatemala City. Maybe he is, maybe she is. I don't know. But anyway, if anyone out there have some review for us, Hayes, how do you actually do to write a review for the podcast?
Yeah, so actually, if you're in your favorite podcast kind of delivery system there, whether it's Apple Podcasts or Spotify or any of that stuff, there is a review button there. You can just tap that. I think you have to hit the 3 dots at the top of your screen if you're on a mobile device or something like that, and then just write a review for us. And you folks don't know how helpful that is to kind of let other listeners know what our podcast is about and just kind of show that it might be something that interests them. So we really appreciate any reviews that you can leave for us.
Yeah, thank you. And we also got another a few more comments and reviews like this, and we're gonna give him a little shout out for them on the upcoming episodes. But for today, we're talking about cross-picking, and also one of the reasons is we're hosting a cross-picking webinar for mandolin cross-picking, I would say, this upcoming Saturday. And but just to quickly beforehand, Hayes, how would you describe cross-picking? What is it?
Yeah, cross-picking It's one of those things that I think people have a general understanding of, and then when they're asked for a definition, they can't tell you, they know the sound. The way that I like to kind of describe it for people who haven't really heard of crosspicking before, it's using a flat pick on any instrument, so like guitar, mandolin, or anything like that, to emulate banjo rolls. So do 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 do, that kind of like rolling motion that you hear on a banjo. Cross picking is a technique that we use with a flat pick to kind of emulate that sound of the banjo. So technically what that means is you're using your flat pick to cross 3 strings on your instrument to play 3 individual strings in succession and do kind of like a perpetually repeating pattern over those 3 strings.
Yeah, and I also think, you're presenting the idea as like a banjo roll kind of. That also, it relates to your background with bluegrass music and the way crosspicking is connected to the style of bluegrass music. And for me, that is not coming from that direction. For me, I also think that crosspicking is sort of, when talking like from a mandolin player's perspective, it's almost like what a fingerstyle guitarist could play on a guitar.
Exactly.
When you're actually presenting maybe both like melody, rhythm, and chords at the same time.
Yes.
But on a mandolin, we don't do this like finger picking or how we do it with cross picking. So it's a way to get a very rich and full sound out of the mandolin. And having talking about this like this, I think we want to listen to a short example of how it also sounds. And maybe I just bring the video on here, and then afterwards you can tell us, Hayes, what we just heard. Here it comes.
Yeah, for sure. 1, 2, ready, go.
Yes, I like that. Please tell us, Hayes, what is that?
Yeah, so we just checked out kind of a excerpt from our latest lesson, or our upcoming lesson at Mandolin Secrets, on Angeline the Baker, a really common old-time American fiddle tune. And you may have been able to, like, if you were listening to it there, the melody, right, is da 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 do. But I'm not just playing those notes, right, Magnus, which is kind of what you were getting at earlier.
Yeah.
We're taking that melody and then using some chord shapes in the left hand plus some kind of picking patterns in the right hand to add the harmony and rhythm to this melody. So it's kind of like a self-contained arrangement of the tune, right?
Yeah. And I think I really love this arrangement. It's groovy, it's very danceable, what I like. But also one thing that I find very sophisticated thing you're doing here. You remember in the A part, you're using your pinky for reaching that high E note, making it sort of like an harp effect with a F sharp, like ringing into the E note. You know what the passage that I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's that kind of like, what do you want to say, like a...
Yes, that one.
You're right?
Yeah.
So it's not just like a straight chord, you've got a couple melody notes kind of laying on top of harmony notes that aren't in the chord, right? So it gives you that kind of ethereal ringing effect, you know?
Yeah, I really love that you choose that solution, because you can also, of course, play the E note on the open string. But I think it's very. I use this word. It's very sophisticated, your arrangement, I think.
I like that, man. Yeah, I'm waiting to get some. Honestly, I mentally prepared myself to get some negative feedback for that, putting that pinky on there, just because I will say, when I was creating that arrangement, there were times where it was really hard to kind of train my pinky to just do that all the time, because we know the pinky is the dumbest finger on your left hand, right? It takes extra care.
Yeah. Well, I leave that kind of feedback for the students. They will come back. Why, Hayes? Why do I have to do this?
Exactly.
Yeah. And I hear sharing the link here for you that are watching the video, mandolinsecrets.com/webinar. You can learn more about this cross-picking technique and see how you can get this into your playing. It's happening this upcoming Saturday on January 29th. It's very soon. And it's very likely that you also are listening to this when we already hosted the webinar. But hey, there's another solution for you. You can also use this link, mandolinsecrets.com/crosspicking. And there you can read all about the video course that me and Hayes put together for mandolin crosspicking. So check it out, and I'm pretty sure you will. Because here's the thing also, why I love crosspicking, because we can use it in this way to kind of make almost like solo arrangement of a simple melody, like Angeline The Baker, for example. But it's also a great technique to kind of throw some hot licks into your playing, so your melody and lead playing will be more spicy, sort of. And you can also implement it in chord and rhythm playing. So very, very useful technique.
Yeah, it's probably one of my main tools in my tool bag, you know what I mean, for when I'm playing a live show or improvising or anything like that. It's very versatile, right?
Yeah. Versatile, that's the right word. And I also know we had some other questions going out to the community. Would you remind us about that one, Hayes?
Yeah, this one was from a while back, but we never got a chance to talk about it. And I love this. I know that you and I are kind of all about having your mandolin spot or your music spot, right, in your house. And this question is kind of related to that. It's, what are the most essential components of your practice space? And we got some really good answers in our community on Facebook and at Mandolin Secrets, but lots of standard stuff like really cool music stands and reading lights so you can see your sheet music better, ergonomic chairs, so you can sit with the correct posture, which, as you know from listening to the channel here, we are really big fans of posture, right?
Yeah.
And then some kind of silly answers and stuff like that too. Like, I think one of our commenters out there said the most essential component of their practice space was having another room that his wife could go to so she didn't have to listen to him practice the mandolin. I thought that was kind of goofy.
Kind of goofy, but I can also see the point there, because I mean,
definitely.
how well you are. I think it ties into this what you and me had said before, Hayes, that you don't want it to sound too good in your practice room. Then you're playing on the wrong stuff, sort of.
Yes.
So
exactly.
Yeah. So there is a difference between doing like by performing and the bit of practicing when we're trying to develop a skill, because it takes a lot of repetition. And I can see that person is driving his wife probably pretty insane after a while.
Yeah, well, there's a reason why my practice studio is in the basement and my wife's office is upstairs on the complete opposite end of the house. So, yeah
Yeah.
There's some truth to this, you know?
Yeah, there is some truth. And I like hearing all these things coming there because I think it's how the way I treat this. The thing that I'm thinking of is kind of to set up the environment so it's easy to get into what we're actually wanting to do, play the mandolin, right? So we don't have to no time like setting up, finding a chair, finding the music stand. Where's the metronome? Hey, where did I put the tuner today? I mean, all these things is like almost obstacles in the way for your musical progress, sort of.
Yeah.
But being intentional with this, setting out a space and creating the environment for where your musical growth will happen, sort of, it can be a game changer for some people. And one thing that I very often remind my students about is keeping the instruments visible even. It's a simple little thing, but it ties into this. The only way that we will actually improve our playing is to spend quality time playing the instrument, and the more often we get to do it, the faster we will improve. And one of the most simple things is to actually keep it visible, so it's almost like tempting to sit down and play for a little while. And I see, a lot of players like keeping their instruments in their case under their bed or something like that. And one very interesting like thing that I want to tie into this is I've read a book quite recently called Willpower Doesn't Work. And that is the whole concept is if you want to change something in your surroundings, if you want to change your own behavior or anything, you got to start by changing the environment. You can't rely on willpower solely. It's going to be not as efficient as if you actually make sure to set up an environment that is more. It's sort of like the environment itself should lead to the transformation you are wanting to go into, and having the mandolin visible is the first thing I think you can do to kind of set up your practice room for success.
I love that. That's a great. That's kind of like a shocking title to hear at first. You know what I mean, right? Like willpower isn't enough, because
no,
I feel like at least where I'm from, people place a lot of what do I want to say? It's like individual responsibility on you. Like if you don't achieve the goal that you want, then it's your fault and your fault alone, kind of thing. But I think there's some truth to what you're saying here. That if you can kind of set yourself up for success. It's almost like you're putting yourself on a track, right? Yeah. Like by having the mandolin out and having the tuner right next to it and your music stand already set up, like it's just there, right?
Yes.
I think that's great.
I think that's great. And we could like go into this subject for a long time, but and all the things that came from the community and that you were reading up there, that is I think it's like preparing the environment for being so it's easy and efficient for us and tempting to play the instrument.
Yeah, I think that's great. Some of the other things that I saw that tied into this, I really like what here, let me find the comment. Norris Maldonado said the most essential part of her practice space is a quiet room with good lighting, no distractions, which I think directly ties into what you're talking about here, you know?
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Exactly. Perfect. I remember also, maybe not totally connected to this, but another question that we were talking about, like maintenance product. Something to add to that little discussion, and please repeat the question for us once more.
So the question was, what are your favorite cleaning and or maintenance products for your instrument, either your mandolin or your guitar? And I think this ties in quite well, because I usually keep my little spray bottle of lemon oil and like a rag close by in my practice space, so that when I'm done with my practice, I can like wipe the strings down and do all that kind of stuff. But the lemon oil is for like, look, there it is. Magnus has got his microfiber cloth. You know what I mean? Everybody show your microfiber cloths. Here's mine. So, from Jess Strings. Look at that. That's great, man.
Should get a little bit of cleaning soon. Yeah, sorry for interrupting you.
No, that's great, man. I love that. But that was actually the most common answer. Like, what are your favorite maintenance products? And there were folks kind of sharing different microfiber cloths that they had, and some different cleaning solutions, like mostly lemon oil, because that's like what you want to spray on your fingerboard to kind of keep the wood nice and healthy, and then clean off any gunk. I will say there was one thing I wanted to bring up, though, not so much specifically related to like people's favorite maintenance products, but there were some kind of, I'll say, troubling answers that came up in the community when I was looking through some of this. A couple folks were talking about using like petroleum-based products, like essentially like motor oil or penetrating oil, to clean the strings on their instrument. And this is my little soapbox speech for the episode here, that like motor oil and penetrating oil have very specific uses that are not related to instrument maintenance. And so like WD-40 is like I don't know if you guys have that in Sweden. Is that a common product over there? WD-40, have you heard of this?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, it's a penetrating oil, they call it. So like if there's a bolt that's stuck in like a door frame, you would spray some WD-40 in there and it kind of loosens it up, right? So WD-40 is kind of touted by every dad in the United States of America as like it's like you've got duct tape and WD-40, and those are the only two tools you'll ever need, you know?
It's like a universal thing, but not for mandolin.
Not for mandolin. So the thing, WD, in the title WD-40, what WD stands for is water displacement. So what this does is it like moves water out of little joints and fills it with some oil, like petroleum products, to kind of loosen up or lubricate like a joint. That's great for metal products, but here's the deal. A lot of folks were talking about using WD-40 on a rag to kind of clean their strings on their mandolin, which is like, for your strings, I think it's okay because it will penetrate and get the dirt and grime out of there. But the thing that scares me about anyone out there who wants to use this is that over time, even if you're spraying it on the rag first and cleaning your strings, that oil is going to get in the wood of your fingerboard, that lovely Brazilian rosewood fingerboard or whatever it is you have. And because it's a water displacing thing, it's purpose is specifically to remove water from solid substances. It'll dry out the wood and cause it to crack and all that kind of stuff. So I talked to a few luthier friends about this just to like kind of confirm, and they were like, yeah, definitely do not use WD-40 on your instrument. That is not a good thing. So for all of you out there, I just told you what not to do to your mandolin and your guitar, but what can you do? There are some kind of other products that you can use to condition your fingerboard. Lemon oil, like I said, is the best one. I've heard of people using boiled linseed oil. That's a less common one. But lemon oil is very readily available. Even tongue oil, I've heard people using before. So those are some products that you would want to use on your fingerboard.
When I bought this instrument, it is 17 years ago in California.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned it on some of the episodes. I also bought or if they gave me a small little bottle of a product called Axe Wax.
Yeah, I have. Yeah,
I still
Axle-X.
use it, so it's very, very. I mean, I've kept it for 17 years, a bottle in this size, but it's still very good for cleaning my fretboard and cleaning the.
Yeah, I think, and you're saying something that I think a lot of folks don't realize too. If you buy like one bottle of lemon oil or whatever it is to clean your fretboard, that's the only bottle you'll ever need. I still have my first bottle of guitar polish from when I was 8 years old. Like, and isn't this crazy? Like,
Yeah, it's crazy.
So like, it's the only one you'll ever need. And the one thing I will say too, related to this, people were using WD-40 to clean their strings because they want their strings to last longer. Typically, if you just wipe your strings down after playing every time, you don't even have to put anything on them. But if you do want to put something on them, there is Fast Fret, which is a product that I've used before that can kind of, yeah, look at this guy. He's got, it's like we coordinated this or something, you know? Do you like Fast Fret, Magnus? Do you use that regularly?
I use it daily. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the number one endorsement right here. So we don't need WD-40. Just buy a little stick of Fast Fret, run it across your strings, and you'll be fine, right?
The only problem with Fast Fret for me is finding it, because everyone is using coated strings nowadays, at least here around here. So it's getting this. I have to order it from some. German store or something to get them, but or just strings or anything like that.
Well, now I know what to send you for Christmas next year.
Yeah, but it really helps me to keep my strings fresh for a longer time.
Yeah, cool. Well, that's the end of my little speech on maintenance products and all that kind of stuff. Just avoid petroleum products. That's mainly the main thing here.
I like that. It's good to be reminded every now and then what not to do as well, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I like I said, I had to consult an expert on this one too, because that was a question I had never thought about. But after talking to two different luthiers, yeah, they're pretty convinced that you shouldn't do that.
Instantly, because I think I know about this product. I'm not sure if it's WD-40 here or whatever, but instantly I feel even the smell of that thing I wouldn't put to my instrument.
Yeah, exactly. Look, right? Because it's like very pungent, you know. It's like it's like, you know, huffing gas at a gas station or something, you know. Yeah, it's bad.
It's not the smell that I want. I don't want that smell out of my instrument case when I open up. Maybe when I open up the car engine or anything like that, but.
Yeah, lemon oil is much better for this phenomenon that you're talking about right now. That's great.
Okay, folks, I think that's it for today's episode. And for if you've been here, we have like 10 people also listening to us live here today. So thank you so much for showing up. You can meet us at Saturday on the webinar if you feel like. And, well... And soon we will also, of course, record a new little podcast episode.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this one later, just be sure to head to mandolinsecrets.com/live. If you want to keep up with the show, you can sign up for reminders to be notified when we go live if you're interested in joining us here. And yeah, that's all I've got.
Thanks, Ian. Thanks, Karen. Thanks, Elliot. Did I miss anyone who left a comment?
No, I think you got it, my friend. It's good to see all you folks out there.
Yeah, and also, of course, also all the listeners in Guatemala City. Special shout out to you. Until next time, always remember, be a music maker.